instead of pulling them in for a few minutes. That would have been a lot less pressure. Okay, first off, thank you guys so much for coming. And I'm really excited to get to chat with you guys today. We got looks like a great group. You're all paying attention so far, so I haven't lost you yet. We're about 25 seconds in, so this is exciting. Okay, so I've got a little activity that everyone hates, but I think that you're going to like it, and that's not a great way to pitch an activity, is it? I've got an activity you're going to love that you might dislike. So we want to get started. I want to do, real quick, we got to stretch, okay? I mean, it's early in the morning. You know, we're getting started. Everybody's just kind of waking up, and I'd like for you to, you know, at least be in with me on this presentation for about 12 minutes. That's my goal, 12 minutes, okay? So if you could stand up, get some room. Yeah, I can see it in your eyes. You're going to like it, I think. You ready? All right. We're going to do a little stretching. It's going to be very good. You're going to feel, after this, you're going to feel good, and then we're going to do a race, okay? So you need to get stretched because we're going to do a foot race after this, all right? Okay, so we've got some stretches, and I try to theme it, you know, yeah, we could do like the whole, reach my feet, reach your toes, all that. We could do that, but we're educators, okay? We've got our own stretches. So first one we're going to do is the keyboard, okay? If you're going to be taking notes, let's get our fingers stretched out. Let's get our fingers stretched out. Oh, this is good. Oh, yeah, we got some people back there clicking one-on-one. I like it. Hey, man, get those arms pumping. All right, you ready? You ready? Okay, the speaker's kind of boring. Let's switch to the, okay, now we're on our phone. We're looking up. We're smiling politely. Okay, yeah, because I paused and I looked at you. You're like, oh, that was probably a good point. And then you're back to your phone. Okay. That was a good one. So our fingers are stretched up. Next one's called the student restroom. Okay, we got to go. We walk in the door. We're looking under the stall to see if there's a kid in here. We're looking under the stall. We're getting that back stretched out. Oh, yeah. Nope, this is going to be embarrassing. There's feet. I'm not going in here. I'm going to go find another restroom. We've all done it. It's the worst, right? It's the worst. Okay, this one's called the new teacher. All right, it's the first day. It's orientation. Everybody from the district's there. I'm a new teacher. I have no idea what's going on. We're stretching our face. We're smiling. Look how happy we are. We're stretching our face out. I don't know what to do. Please give me your lesson plans. I'm smiling. Our faces feel good. We're stretched out. All right, next one's called the Facebook at work. Y'all ready? You ready? We're on the computer. We're going to stretch our neck left, look for an administrator. Stretch our neck right, look for an administrator. And we're on Facebook. And then we're back left, check right. We're on Facebook. Oh, wait, there's Mr. Oh, these are good. These curriculum maps, I love these. Back on Facebook. Okay, good. We got our neck stretched out. What else we got? Okay, this is called the backpacks, all right? We didn't put them in the hall. They're laying over, but I got to walk through these aisles, so we're stretching out. We're stepping over. We're stepping over all these backpacks. It's like, could those school board members not put out for lockers? Why are we doing this? We have Chromebooks. Why do they have 400-pound backpacks? All right, last one. This is called the cutter, okay? We're going to go into the lunch line. We forgot to bring our lunch, but we don't want to wait behind all these kids, so we're going to say, excuse me, I'm a teacher. Excuse me, I'm a teacher. Excuse me, I'm a teacher. The lunch lady goes, you look like a kid. Just give me an extra roll. I'm a teacher. Get behind me, people. All right, next one, the last one. You ready? Okay, so we've got a stack of papers on our desk. It's been like a month. Kids are asking, like, when are you going to grade that? You want me to get my assignments in on time, but you haven't graded in a month. And we're like, okay, well, I'm going to grade it. You ready? We take that pile of papers, off the desk, in the trash. Off the desk, in the trash. Everybody getting a completion grade. 20 out of 20. Good job, Billy. This will be your only A of the year. Parents, don't complain if you got an 80 or above. Let's put that down. All right, awesome. Thank you, guys. You guys are great. Give yourselves a hand. Y'all were excellent. And that's all I've got. Thank you guys so much. I'm just kidding. Awesome. Okay. So I have the opportunity to talk to you guys today about some keys to success whenever making a digital transformation. I'm sure most of your schools already have some amount of technology, whether it's a full-on one-to-one implementation or you've got something that's, you've kind of started, like you're doing a rollout plan. And I'll talk about kind of what we did and kind of maybe even get to talk to you guys at the end and see what you're doing and see any advice I can throw at you. First off, what do I even know about it? Okay, you think, okay, well, either he moisturizes and he's really old or else he's like mid-range age, okay? I am a mid-range age, okay? So you think, like, he grew up with computers, so it's all easy. Let me tell you how I started teaching. I taught high school math, and my principal kept telling me, he's like, hey, I'm going to get you a Promethean board in your classroom. And I said, I don't need a Promethean board. Give me a marker and a dry erase board, and these students are going to learn math all over their face, okay? And I didn't need it. And then I did not use technology in my classroom at all. for 4 years. It was like legit marker, dry erase board. And then my last year in the classroom, what I started doing was I had one iPad. They gave me one iPad. I used it, projected, had like a mobile cart. And then I would just post things like to Tumblr and to Twitter to my students where they could see notes and extra activities. And so last year, I really stepped it up, and I got to see a huge difference in my students' interactions, and then also what they would do if they missed or if they had an off day, then they could come back and still catch up. So I got to start there, and now I'm the director of a real-life school. I'm director of curriculum instruction, communications, technology, and personnel. It's a long title. It's easier to say. I'm in charge of everything but sports and buses, so I've got everything else. It's real fun. I was a principal at a school that had, it was students that were in there, but it was online learning. We utilized Odysseyware. We used another company. I don't want to bash them, so I'm not going to say their name. We used them for 1 year, and I thought that was the best that we could get out of an online company. And then a guy named Jeremy came in, and he was like, hey, I'm here for a meeting. I'm like, I didn't set a meeting with you. I avoid vendors. I did not set a meeting with you. He's like, oh, yeah. I was like, all right, we're here. Well, what's up? He goes, well, come out here. We'll step in my van. I go, no. I don't want to get murdered today. I was like, have you guys been in the Odyssyeware big van truck? I think it's awesome. He walked me out there. I was like, dude, can I move my school out here? This is awesome. And so I went out there and I saw what he could do, and I saw the things that had been frustrating me, and it solved them. So that's what I went with it. I know most of you guys use Odysseyware, so I'm not pitching it because you already use it, but I'm just telling you that was kind of my story. And then so I was the principal of that school. Also, I had some classes because it was a lot of that kind of blend, that online, non-traditional type scenario. So I was also teaching several classes through that as well. And then also I have a fake school that I do not get any money for that's called TarverAcademy.com. And that's where I put math videos up, instructional videos on for teachers, PDs, just random stuff I throw out there that I think might be helpful that people don't pay me to do. And you're thinking, well, Tyler, your last name, Tarver Academy, so your last name's Academy. Are you related to Khan Academy? He has the same last name as you. I'm not related to Khan from Khan Academy. However, we are friends. We're really close friends. There's Khan and I at a conference hanging out. We're really tight. Oh, Khan and I was like, hey, Khan. He was like, and left. But he's crazy like that. We're close. We're good friends. No big deal. Okay, so enough of that. Let's talk about my school. All right, you think, okay, you probably just stepped into a good situation. I'll tell you this. I got to work with some great people, but in the process of working at Bauxite, which is the name of the school, Bauxite, like the rock, we started, when I first started there, it had been under a couple superintendents who didn't really see any value in adding the technology aspect, and so they didn't. And it's not that they were bad superintendents. They weren't. They were great. They had their strengths, but it's just something they didn't feel comfortable delving into, so they didn't, because we as educators like to be the experts, correct? We in a classroom, our greatest fear is that a kid asks us a question we don't know the answer. And so the superintendents are the same way. They didn't want to start incorporating something that they didn't know about, that they didn't have any valuable feedback to give on it. So they didn't. So where do we start? Here's a picture of where we were. Anybody, this look familiar to anybody? Windows XP. Y'all remember that, Jim? We used it for 400 years. It was great, okay? So they were using Windows XP on teacher computers. The teacher computer is about 7 or 8 years old, which in computer years is 2,000 years old. And so they were using Windows XP, which Windows quit supporting 9 years before that. So we were using a program that was very outdated. The students didn't utilize devices. When I graduated, I went to that high school and then graduated, went to college, and I was top couple people in my class. Hey, humble brag. I was top couple people in my class, so I feel like I was not super dumb, but whenever I went to college, I sat down in the library. I was like, oh, these Apple computers are neat. I sat down and spent the next minute and a half trying to casually stand up and leave and not admit that I didn't know how to turn it on. And so that's what I felt like. And so now, that's all I use. I utilize technology. And I came from a point where I didn't even know how to turn a computer on. Legit, no joke, not exaggerating for a story. That's the truth. Bauxite, and they had 3 megabits. If anybody of you technology people in here, yeah, for the whole district. They had to shut down the internet to run payroll. That's where we were. And I'm not lying. I will not lie to your faces. And if I do, I'll tell you I am lying, which is a terrible way to lie to people. You lie to a girl, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm lying to you right now. We had nothing for internet, and the computers were outdated, and the kids just weren't adding any to it. They were learning, they were getting curriculum, but it was being delivered in a way that did not add anything else to it. Okay, they weren't gathering any skills while they're learning the Pythagorean theorem. They're not getting any skills along the way that they can carry on into their jobs. Most aren't going to use Pythagorean theorem when they get into the real world very often. Okay, we can admit that now because we're all adults. In my classroom, kids are like, when will I ever use this in real life? I go, I use it every day because I teach math. No big deal, whatever. And they're like, really? I go, really? Do your work. You're fired. I can't fire people. Okay, here we go. Now, where are we now? We have a public conversion charter school within our school district, and the students all work online. They do online curriculum, which is, I'm not going to tell you the brand, spoiler alert, it's Odyssyeware. And so we do all online curriculum, and then our high school also adopted a lot of that, so a lot of our teachers have those resources. While it's delivered in full to the kids at Minor Academy so that they can move ahead or catch up depending on what they need personally. Sorry, I just turned 12, my voice just started. And at the high school, they can use those resources in their lessons while they're teaching. And so they use that, and then we also use it on a wide scale, like remediation. We'll adapt a class and create like a small class just for remediating certain points that kids need after we evaluate them. And then we also use it for a lot of our credit recovery. So we use it for a ton of different things at our district. And here's a picture right here of a classroom in Minor Academy. Our students are in there. They have their headphones in. They're working on their computers. They've got, like, that kid looks a little too relaxed. Okay, that's like a level 9 relaxation right there. Like watching a Cowboys game or something. Is it Cowboys? Y'all like Cowboys? Is that right? Okay, Cowboys fans. Spurs? Can I say Spurs? Okay, I'm more at the NBA basketball style, which you'll see I've got a slide dedicated to that later. You guys might appreciate it. All right, so what I've done is I've kind of built a pyramid for what I feel is most important, okay? And the first level, the foundation for everything you want to do at your district with any type of digital development or transformation or implementation of any sort, the first thing you have to do is you have to set the culture. You have to change the mindset of those teachers and those administrators. At a building level, I've gotten to help, like a district-wide district technology and principal level, I've gotten to implement technology for students and teachers. We've also implemented like have you ever heard of Flex Modular Schedule? It was a big thing that's kind of taken a bunch of schools I said taken a bunch of schools like Liam Neeson. It's taken over a bunch with the schools in Arkansas. It's a schedule where it's a lot more student-centered, where the teachers are almost like forced to deliver the curriculum via online resources, and the students have like one period of their class a week. The students aren't in the class. And so the teachers deliver the material to them to be done outside. So the stuff that you used to do in your classroom that they didn't need you for, we're like, hey, we're going to watch this video. Like, you're getting paid as a teacher to show a video of someone else teaching. So I said, well, now don't use that class time for that. Give that to them to work on in that period outside of class. And while they're in class, do stuff they need you for. Do stuff that they can ask questions for and they can directly send back to them. So in the process of doing the technology rollout from nothing to where we are now, where we have one-to-one devices 3rd through 12th grade, and then we also have iPads for our kids K1 and 2. So all of our kids have devices that they use, like I say daily, they use momently. Is that a word? We're going to say it is, momently. So we had to go, that was a sharp contrast from what they were doing a few years before, because this is all in a 5-year span. They went from nothing to everybody having something. And so you know that in some classrooms, teachers are taking off. They're running with it, like, oh yeah, this is why I got into teaching. I'm individualizing, this is personalizing the learning. We're getting the curriculum, but they're also getting skills. This is great. And then other teachers, they have a bunch of devices sitting in the middle of the table, and they're very expensive paperweights. And they've got notebooks out, and they're doing it, which is fine. I love adding different skills. I like mixing it up. But if you're doing it every day, then they're not getting those skills that we're trying to teach them on those computers. And that's the thing that I keep talking to my teachers about is we have to set the culture. You have to set that before you roll it out. Your teachers have to be on board. Your principals have to be on board. So we're going to talk more on this than the rest because it is the most important. You see? It's the biggest. That's why it's the most important. That's what's up. Okay. Has anybody ever heard of Simon Sinek? Simon Sinek, he does a lot of leadership talks. Yeah, he's great. Way smarter than I'll ever be. I'm really jealous of him. It's fine. I'm going to roll his house with toilet paper. It's not a big deal. He came up with this thing called the golden circle. And it talks about whenever you're doing something, he said, always start from your why. Why are we doing this? Your how and your what. Like, what are we going to do? We're going to give kids devices. How? Well, we're going to buy a bunch of Chromebooks, and then we're going to find, an online content curriculum provider, and we're going to give that to them. That's how. But why are we doing it? Why are we doing this for students? You've got to have this set and then commonly refer back to it. So are we doing it because everybody else is doing it? It's not a great why, but it could be your why. Are we doing it because it adds skills along with teaching their curriculum to where they can use those skills in any job they go? If they go out and they're a mechanic, they're probably going to use a computer. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but even if they just go off memory and they know how to fix an engine, now you can plug something up, it does a report on it, you can get all the data, and you can go in and find out how to do it. It saves you hours as a mechanic. They're going to use technology in their job. It's becoming more and more, I mean, what is it? There 10 years ago, like, we didn't have like app developers because there were no apps because the iPhone hadn't been released yet. And now that's what, 600,000 jobs? That was less than 10 years ago. So who knows, as we keep developing these things, the more jobs we're going to have. And they're most of the increasing jobs are using technology. So if those kids can get delivered their, how to use commas correctly, but do it in a way to where they're problem solving and troubleshooting and using computers and collaborating and using all these resources, then we're giving them skills along with that. Used to the skills we wanted to give were like, okay, turn your homework in on time. It's not on time? Sorry, you got a 0. I'm teaching you responsibility. Now it's do it on your computer, and that way, as you do it, you can develop these skills along with it. So we're building responsibility and that digital citizenship and digital intellect. So that's great. Always refer back to your why. Am I talking fast? I know I talk fast, guys. I'm going to slow it down. What's up? How's everybody doing? Everybody good? All right, feeling good? We need to do some more stretches? No? Okay, we're good. All right, so just because you give kids devices does not mean they're automatically going to love it, okay? These kids have had cell phones since they were, 3 years old, right? Have you seen a 3-year-old on an iPad? They look like Bill Gates. They're flipping through everything. Just because you hand all these devices to these kids does not mean they're going to absolutely love it and they're going to learn everything, okay? And then teachers, too, they're not going to just love it as soon as they get them. They're, oh, thanks, you gave me devices, now I got to learn this device. Thanks so much. And that's the person that complains. That's how they talk, right? Every time. This is what I got to learn now. And I think, aren't you required for every building you have to have one person who complains about everything? You could take Fridays off and give everybody $100. You got one teacher who's going to be like, I didn't want my Friday off. I got to find a babysitter. So, well, calm down. I almost said her name, the one I was thinking of in my head when I said that. I didn't, though. She could be watching. She's not here, though. Just because you give kids devices does not mean everything's going to be solved, okay? We got to know how we're using them and why we're using them. Whenever we went to this new schedule, kids have time to work outside of school. What change is acceptable for your building or your district? You have to know that, and you have to communicate that to your teachers. This picture right here, there's kids working, collaborating. That kid, I would like to think he's measuring something for a math problem. I don't know what he's doing. That girl right there, she's the subject of this picture. She's got her Chromebook out. She's got her picture taken. She's working in a hammock during the school day. This picture was taken, like my thought when I see this, I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, who said, I haven't seen a study that says kids learn better by sitting at uncomfortable wooden desks. Like, that's how kids learn best. I haven't seen that. I've seen when, like, natural lighting comes in, that's good for them. But I haven't seen it about the desk. If a kid's working in a hammock, awesome. That's great. I would love to do my work in a hammock. I have a couch in my office. I do more work sitting on my couch with my laptop than I do at my desk with my computer because that's how I like to work. That's how I like to get things done. This picture was taken by a teacher, and then you guys have probably had your own scenario of this. It was taken by a teacher and then texted to a board member and a principal, said, this is what we've come to. They saw it as, this is awful. They think this is the worst thing to happen to education because there's kids sitting around talking, chatting, being able to talk to other kids. There's a kid in the back, looks like they don't have any friends. Hope they're doing okay. And then this kid's sitting here working in a hammock. And they thought that was the worst thing that had happened in that school. So it's all about how you view it. What's acceptable for your culture and your school and your constituency. So you got to communicate that, not just to the teachers, not just the administrators, but also the board members, because they're going to get the pictures of these. So that's good to have that culture accepted and that change accepted. Students only get 930,000 minutes of instructional time from kindergarten to 12th grade. They can't afford to wait for educators to get comfortable with doing things differently than they have in the past. A lot of times we're slow to transition. We are. It's because we like to be the experts. And I don't want to hand a bunch of devices out to students because I know at some point a kid's going to go, I got this message, I don't know what to do. And I'm going to have to walk over there. And if I say I don't know what to do either, it looks like I'm not the expert. And I'm an educator. I'm always the expert, right? Isn't that what we say? No, we're not. We got to be willing to say, I don't know. Does anyone else know what to do? Has anyone else hit this? Has anybody else had this problem? Then let's solve it. Let's work on this together. Google it. Let's find an answer. Let's figure this out. In the worst case scenario, you call your tech guy. His name's usually Craig, and he knows more than anybody at the school. He can shut all of our accounts down in like 10 seconds. He's very valuable. Don't make him mad, okay? But we could try to figure it out. We could troubleshoot, because when they get in the real world, they're going to run into problems too. They're going to run into problems when they're trying to do stuff. Whatever program they're using, or whatever thing they're developing, or whatever project they're working on, they're going to run into problems. And you think, well, then the kid just needs to figure it out on their own. When in my career has my boss ever said, hey, Tyler, we got an accreditation report, but you have 45 minutes to do it. You have to shut your door, no talking. You cannot talk to anybody. You cannot collaborate. Do it on your own. You have 45 minutes. If you fail, you're fired. Okay? No, we don't do that. And then whenever kids take tests, that's what we do. Kids have to take 45 minutes, no work together. Like, we have to kind of change the attitude of what we're doing, and we can't take that time to get to that step in the process. All right, you got to trust through communication. You have to communicate. If you don't have this open line of communication with your teachers and your principals and the people that are in this process, you're going to have this gap. And while both of you think you're doing what's expected and what you're supposed to be doing, at some point you're not going to connect. There's going to be a miscommunication. Yeah. So if we don't communicate with the other people that we think are on our team, then at some point we're going to miss some important communication, and we're both going to be ended up left hitting the ground. Yeah. So whenever we're working together, it's always good to communicate. Sorry, I just love that video. Next step, communication. Next step, be positive, guys. You have to be positive, okay? It's very easy. I call it the teacher's lounge mentality. You walk in, you sit down, somebody else walks in, they go, oh, Johnny's being terrible today. He's on a tear. And then somebody else, and you're saying it because Johnny didn't learn in your class, and you're kind of subtly thinking, I need validation that it's not me as a teacher, that it's Johnny's fault. And you're like, Johnny's being bad today. And you look around, and then that one teacher goes, I know, he was bad in my class. You're like, yes, it's not my fault. Johnny's the worst. And then everybody starts kind of going around talking about how terrible Johnny is. It's the teacher's lounge mentality. You throw something out, and then somebody else validates your aggravation or what's your stumbling block or your speed bump, and then everybody else jumps on board. The trick is to be positive. Every time, and here's just my hint as an administrator, this is what I do. Whenever a teacher comes in and complains, and like I said, you got one per building, okay, at automatic. But whenever that teacher comes in and complains, the first thing I do is I put it back on them. Well, what do you think we can do? Or what do you think we do to fix it? Or what's a possible solution? In our PLCs, whenever we get together, the teachers get together and discuss their curriculum, no one is allowed to present a problem unless they have two potential solutions. That's a rule. If they come in, they say, well, this just doesn't work, and we can't put that one lesson with this. It just doesn't work. Okay, great. What do you think we can do? How can we change it? How can we fix it? How can we modify it? Or do we just need to drop it? Give me two options. We don't have to use them. We have to start somewhere, and it turns that conversation. Because if you push everybody down that hill of negativity, it's going to build and it's going to keep flowing until at the end you're just like, this is the worst. We need to just quit school and all need to like learn to dig things out of the dirt. Okay? But if you turn it and you switch it the other way, changes the conversation. You're focused on improvement and making things better as opposed to just complaining about the things that aren't working as well. Second thing, or the next thing you need to do is hear them. Do surveys. Ask their opinion. Talk to teachers. Raise your hand if you're a teacher in here. Administrators, raise your hand. Facilitators. All right, keep their hands up. Everybody turn to the person next to them and high five them with their hands up. That's what's up. Education. All right, now hold their hand and go, this is inappropriate. Okay, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. All right, so whenever we're in there, so we've got a good mix of people in here. That's great because then teachers are going to have questions that administrators haven't thought of. Administrators are going to have questions teachers haven't thought of. The more communication you have, the more you ask people's opinion, the more they're a part of the process of learning and building and doing this, the more invested they're going to be, and the more helpful they're going to be, and the more they'll understand, okay, this didn't work, but I'm focused on making that better. It's not just like you throw it out, the teacher goes, this didn't work. Administrator, what you going to do? And the administrator's like, I don't know, we'll try to figure it out. And they throw it to the director, what we going to do? And the director's like, I don't know, let's ask the teachers, what do they want to do? And then you go back and you just make that circle. But if they're out there and they're saying, hey, this isn't working, what can we do to fix it? And everybody works together to try to turn it or fix it or adjust it or adapt it, then you're going to keep making things better. It's a gradual process. It's like, well, I don't work out because I look like I'm in an extra small jacket. But whenever people work out, you build, right? You don't just like walk into the gym, do 3 push-ups, you're like, man, I'm bowed up. No, you don't do that. You got to work at it. You got to work at it. You got to adapt, change, and keep building. Okay. Anybody remember Captain Planet? Everybody remember Captain Planet? Anybody? No? Yeah? The 90s? Best generation ever, right? No? We've got how about this best 10-year period ever. We had the 96 Olympics. Those were great. Atlanta Braves. Okay. Oh, no, y'all don't like Atlanta Braves. I lived in Georgia during that time. I'm sorry, guys. Back to what I was talking about, Captain Planet. Okay? Anybody remember Captain Planet? He was this superhero, that his entire existence was predicated on 5 kids with superpower rings getting together and putting their fists in. How many people know in their school, you pick any 5 kids, 5 best friend kids, that superhero will not exist after a week? Because that kid that does fire, he's a hothead. He's going to walk off. He's not going to be part of the group. He's going to go out and move to somewhere else and just make cool fire things and impress people. Okay? So it's not going to work. You have to stick together. You have to all work together because things don't work if you have one group or one constituency or a chunk of people in your group that are not part of it, that are not working towards the same why, that are not preaching the same thing and practicing what they're trying to do. So you've got to stick together in this process. And I know this sounds lofty. I'm going to get to practical. And you're thinking, well, I just can't take that back. I got you, bro. Okay? We're going to talk practical. All right. Here's my NBA thing. It's a lot easier to win when everybody on your team. Everybody, NBA basketball, you know what I'm talking about? No? Okay. Don't worry about it. Y'all were really close. Spurs were really close, guys. Spurs fans, raise your hands, Spurs fans. If Kawhi hadn't gone down. If Kawhi hadn't gone down, guys. Make sure the staff is heard. Make sure they're staying positive, and if they're not, you're addressing it with them. And I'll talk about that more too. Make sure they're involved in the process. Make sure they're on board. Make sure they're adaptive, okay? We can't just say, okay, we're going to try this, and they go, well, that one thing didn't work. We done. I'm not trying anything else. No, you got to adapt. You got to change. You got to adjust, okay? Whenever we did this, we did that FlexMod implementation. We had, I think right now we're on FlexMod 4.0 is what we call it. We started with what we thought would work. It started going. We go, okay, everything here is working. This is a problem. We fixed it. We adapted. We changed it. We go, okay, this is FlexMod 2.0. That lasted about 3 days. We switched to 3.0. We made some more adjustments, and we were rolling for a while. And they were like, I think we can make this better. Switched to 4.0. So you just keep adapting and changing and adjusting it as you go. Staff is part of the conversation. Whenever it's like, you're like, oh, you know, you ever been in those conversations where you're talking, like 2 people start talking at the same time, you're like, hello? And like Adele rolls in there. Especially the late converters. You're going to have those teachers that are not fully on board. The ones that are kind of like behind the scenes saying, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. And it's not because they're the ones sabotaging things. You've got to go have those personal conversations with them. Okay? And if you are a teacher and you are that person, you need to go have that conversation with your administrator. Go, look, I'm concerned. I don't think it's going to work, and here's why. Address those concerns with them. Hopefully you have that rapport with your principal. And then they can tell you solutions or what their ideas are, or they'll ask you for your ideas, which is great because that's a conversation. That's people working together towards the same goal. Okay, we spent a lot of time on the foundation. We're going to roll in and get some more practical stuff, okay? And at the end, I have some questions so you can actually have a specific question. We can throw that out there. Devices and programs. You got to know what you're going to do, what you're going to implement, because then that's going to dictate how you do other things later. Digital curriculum. Here are the must-haves for me. Adjustable pacing. You need to be able to pick a start and end date, which you guys are in luck. This has it. We did a curriculum first that didn't. It didn't have that. It was like, okay, kids, you're going to be able to work at your own pace with this school. You're in here every day. We've got certified teachers. You've got the internet. Here's the curriculum. You're going to be able to work at your own pace. And it didn't adjust like start and end dates and overdues and due dates and all that. And you know when the kids started working on all their classes? 2 weeks before the end of the semester. So if you know you've been in the classroom and that kid walks up and they're like, hey, what do I need to bring my grade up? And you go, do your work during the semester. Don't come to me as I'm putting in your final grade in the computer. Like, give me some heads up and don't ask for extra credit just because you noticed you got a 12 in my class at the end of the year. You got to be able to pace it out because if not, they're teenagers. They're going to procrastinate. They're going to wait till the end. They're going to chunk it in there. So stay on the overdues, whether you do it through overdues or you look at completion percentage. And we can talk about both of those. We've tried both of those with kids. We're now on the completion percentage. It seems to work, and it's easier to adjust. Like, hey, guys, you should be at this percent at this point. You should be at this percent at this point. And every week we have a board where they go up and they look at it. That's where they know they should be. And if not, then we address it. Instant access. That program that I used before, it was the first day the school, we got a grant from the state to start this school because we had all these waivers and we're trying to do things a little, like be a little innovative, and then also we can give those resources back to other schools in the state. One of the things with that program we started with, we got in, and it was like the week before school, and we finally got all the kids' schedules because we had a lot of kids switch. They found out about the school. They switched like right before school started. And I enrolled them on their classes and submitted it, and then I noticed the kids were like, I still can't get into my classes. They're not appearing. I can't start working on them. And so I contacted the company. I was like, yo, kids aren't able to get in. They're like, yeah, it's a busy season. It'll be 3 to 5 days before their classes show up. I go, oh, neat. What am I supposed to do with them for the first 3 days of school when they don't have anything to work on? And so you've got kids for 7 or 8 hours and these are the kids that heard work at your own pace, which a lot of them heard work at no pace. And so I get that kind of demographic of kids, and I've got them for 8 hours. Like, what are we supposed to do? Let's do an 8-hour project on the history of bauxite. That's what we're going to do. And so you've got to be able to get it. As soon as you're able to put the kids in the class, they can hit refresh and their classes show up. If not, you're an administrator, you're going to hate your life. You're going to hate everything. And then customization. You have to be able to adapt it to your building, okay? You can have the best curriculum, the best thing out there, but you are still, like, your school, as you know, is different than the school that's 2 miles down the road. And you know, that school is different than the schools you play in sports. You all have your own makeup, your own demographic. You have your own style and mentality, and you got to be able to adapt that. Customization. Take it. It's yours. That's Troy. Brad Pitt, he has to make an appearance in all mine. He's a great actor. Well, I would say he's a great actor. He's good at some stuff. Okay. Number 2, devices. It all depends on what you want the students doing. We got Chromebook districts. Raise your hand for Chromebook district. iPad districts. Any iPads? Both, all over the place. Okay, yeah, most people do both. Any MacBooks, stuff like that? Okay, so mostly Chromebook districts. And the reason is you can get 4 Chromebooks for 1 MacBook, right? That's pretty smart. It's hard to beat. It all depends on what you want them doing. Originally, when Chromebooks first came out, I mean, they're the internet, right? You're using them to get on the internet. It's a browser operating system. You do stuff that's in the cloud. If you don't have internet, you're like, oh, there's nothing I can do. If you want kids creating, you got a MacBook because it comes with iMovie, it comes with GarageBand. Kids can make podcasts for free. They can make videos, edit them, toss them up for free. That's the device to get, an iPad or a MacBook. Now Chromebooks are elevating their creation game. You can film with them now. You can edit in YouTube Editor. They've got a lot of programs that you can utilize in those devices. So it depends on what you want. And also, look at the program you got. If you got something that runs a lot of Flash, don't get a bunch of iPads. They don't work well with Flash. They're not best friends. It's not its favorite superhero. All right? The best device to use always is the best device you have on you. If the best thing you have, your students have, like, okay, I've got 10 Chromebooks, but I've got 30 kids. How many kids got cell phones? All but 1. Okay, make sure that kid has a Chromebook. The rest of you, if you want to use Chromebooks, you can. Everybody else, get your phone out. We're going to use our phones for this, okay? You got to be comfortable using those devices. Like I said, it's a mindset, because I say that, and a lot of teachers go, whoa, I don't want that kid on Snapchat during my class. They're going to pretend like they're doing work, but they're really Snapchatting everything I'm doing. They're doing that anyways, guys. Spoiler alert. They're Snapchatting and Instagram. Has anybody ever noticed? It's funny to me. There are only 3 things kids do on cell phones in class when they get caught. They're checking the time, they're texting their mom, or they're turning it off. That's all they're ever doing. How is Snapchat a $50 billion company whenever nobody's on it? Crazy. So the best device is always the best one you have on you. Give the teachers whatever you give the students. Okay, this is we want to talk practical advice. This is practical advice. If you give your kids Chromebooks, every teacher should have a Chromebook that they can take home. That's what they should do. And you know why? I talked about earlier when that kid's like, oh, I hit this error. What do? I don't know how to do it. And the teacher's like, I don't know. I've never had that error. Because they've never been on a Chromebook. That's why. Give them the device. Say, go home, watch Netflix on it. Don't download anything inappropriate, and have a good time, okay? So go in, give the teachers whatever it is the students are going to be using. That way, whenever it gets to like how to scroll or how to right-click or how to do anything from small stuff to troubleshooting to big stuff, hopefully they've hit it because they've used that device. Give them what the students have. That's hands down, you should be doing that. Number 3, accessibility to the curriculum. Whenever we did that school, like all their coursework was online, okay? And if you've ever given assignments that had online stuff, you know you've got like half your kids that don't have internet. For one reason or another, they don't. They don't have access at home. So how do you troubleshoot that? How do you handle that? First, you give them access at school. Obviously, they have access at school to download. They have Wi-Fi. If not, you probably shouldn't have devices, okay? Give them access at school after hours. We have a couple picnic tables set up outside of one of our buildings, and our school's okay with kids coming up there, sitting at those picnic tables because we have a camera out there that runs all the time in case something happens. But they're not inside a building. They're not going to steal the picnic tables. They're very heavy. They can sit there, and they can use the Wi-Fi. We put a Wi-Fi device close to the door so that they can work. So parents can bring their kids up. They can hang out in their car and be on their phone, which is what they're doing at home, but they're just not in their car. And they can have the kids working there on those picnic tables. So they have access at all times at the district at those tables. Give access options in town. If the parents are like, I don't need to bring him up here. And I was like, okay, go to Chick-fil-A, go to McDonald's, go to Starbucks. All of them have free Wi-Fi. Go in there, pay like $1.50 for a drink, or $1 for a drink at McDonald's, right? Sweet tea, what's up? Everybody say sweet tea. Blessed be thy name. Give access to options while in town. Tell them options where they can go in town. Public library is also a good option. Ours aren't great, but it has free internet. Third one, and this is the big one, and we want to teach responsibility to kids. This is how we teach it now in the digital age. Tell the kids to plan ahead. You don't have internet at home? Okay, you need to screenshot a lot of stuff. You need to take that, copy the information, paste it in a document that you can get while you're at home. Study at home, take the test at school. Don't get the information, get your homework of what you need to do, and then all you're doing is copy-pasting when you get to school because you've already done the work. You've screenshotted the questions. You've copy-pasted the questions. Plan ahead. You're not always going to have internet. It's like whenever anybody here fly here, planes don't have great internet unless you want to pay like $400 a minute, okay? So what do? You download the videos offline onto your phone so you can watch them while you're on the plane. If not, you're reading that magazine that just tries to sell you things that would let you watch things on the plane. Next, deliver the message, okay? Deliver the message. You have to communicate with all the necessary groups, okay? How many people know communication is key to getting anything done? You have to communicate. If not, it's an order, okay? But if you communicate it, well, then you're giving information to everybody's part of the process. First one, communicate to the staff. If the goal of your technology initiative is to put technology in the classroom, then all you're going to get is technology in the classroom. If that's all you want to do, you should say, hey, we're going to do devices. It'll be great. Everybody will have technology. Then they're going to be glorified encyclopedias. All you're doing is saving shelf space, and you're putting it on a Chromebook. But if you're using it to do things like raise awareness, start conversations, collaborate, find answers, all these other higher-end thinking skills and processing skills, then that's what you're going to get. It's all about how you approach it. And you've got to communicate that to the teachers and the students. What do we want out of this? Why are we doing this? What's our why? I saw a chart yesterday. I didn't put it in here. It was a list of like 10 years ago, like the top 10 things that employers wanted. And then now, like this year, what employers want. Number one is still the same. Problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills. That's what we want. They didn't say, do well on the ACT. I mean, that's great. That's good. It's very important. I'm director of curriculum instruction. I know it's important. But what are they doing when they get hired? They want somebody that can solve problems and fix things and not have to run to their boss every 10 seconds to see what they need to do next. So we want to build that capacity in our students and our teachers. Communicate to the students. Tell the students why we're doing this. No, we're not paying this $250 for this device so that you can watch House of Cards during school, okay? Which is a great show, just released a new season. Good job. So allow personalization, but have clear expectations. You've got students that range from don't need the teacher. They're doing great. They're going to do wonderful if you just throw them in an empty room and give them like a piece of paper. They're going to learn. And then you've got kids that you could give them every device in the world, and they're not going to move forward at all, okay? You've got to be able to personalize it and know your students. Allow personalization, but have clear expectations of what you want from your students.
Like I was a very happy kid, but I hated school. Like on a different planet, I was getting B's and F's, and the world was telling me I was a loser. My teachers were telling me a loser. My friends' parents weren't saying in my face that I was a loser, but I could see it in their eye that I didn't think I'd be successful because the game I played, unlike today's game, in the 80s, early 90s, was school was the way out. Going to Harvard was the great accomplishment, not building Facebook or Instagram or being a successful entrepreneur. It was a different landscape. And so, the why was to stick to everybody. Like I used to sit there as a 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old and look at my class and my teachers and like, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show all of you. You think I suck? I'm going to be the biggest, best person on earth.
Have you guys heard of Gary Vaynerchuk? He is a social media marketing guy. He's a marketing guy, which social media is a big part of that now, because that's where our attention is. We're on our cell phones, right? Not during the commercials between TV shows. So Gary runs a $400+ million company with 600+ employees, and he tanked in high school. If you would have been able to give him something to where it says, okay, Gary, here's the deal. I know you're not really interested in what we're talking about. I know you want to graduate as soon as you can because you're making $2,000 to $3,000 on the weekend selling baseball cards, and I know that you don't really need this. You just need to get past this to get to the next thing. If you gave him a device and the curriculum and you said, here, man, get it done, you're done. You could be done in 2 years, save you that's 2 more years of working experience where you can go out and start a business and make millions of dollars. You don't need this. how many know that a kid like Gary would take over and run with it, okay? You want to allow personalization, but you have clear expectations of what your kids are allowed to do and what you want them to do, okay? So you want them to have that ownership and that ability to choose their own destiny, but you also want them to know it's within these parameters, okay? And I know that differs between each school, and we can talk. I'd love to talk to you guys about that in a little bit. Empower them, and they will surprise you. Don't know who you are? I look for you. I can't like not read it in Liam Neeson's voice. You know what I'm talking about from Taken? Or he's like, I know who you are. It's like, man, just the best, okay? So whenever I was teaching, I had taught all my classes at the high school, and then I had one class period where I was go to our ALE. You have ALEs here in your area, alternative learning environment. It's like where you put the dream team of kids that are difficult, and you put them all in one classroom, and you tell the teacher, good luck, I'm shutting the door. And so I would go over there, and I would teach math. And then I would come back and go back to my classroom. So it was one period I'd go there. It looks like we got a teacher of it. That's right. Oh, no. I had an ALE in my building. I've got stories. And so when I would drive back and go teach my secondary math classes. Well, one day I knew I was going to be out. I was going to be going to a PD. And so the day before, I recorded a video of myself teaching the lesson. And at the end, I told them what the assignment is in the video. And so all the sub had to do was go in, and the instructions were start the video, play it. It's like a 15, 20-minute video of me explaining how to do whatever topic it was, and then gives them the lesson. They start working. I had a class. And well, whenever that teacher, the substitute teacher, went over to that other building to teach, they got kind of mixed up in when they came back to teach my next class. And so my 5th period on-level geometry class, the teacher didn't show up. They got confused. They thought it was their lunch, and so they didn't come back. So the students were sitting in there for about 10 minutes, and they're looking around, no teacher. And this is on-level. This is not AP, not pre-AP. This is my on-level. These are my on-level kids. They were looking around. They go, oh, I know that we have a sub today. The other kids are saying we had a sub. You know, kids talk. As soon as you have a sub, it's like free day most of the time. And so they'd already talked about it. And one of the kids goes, I heard that Mr. Tarver had a video we watched, and we worked on something afterward. They're like, okay. How many people know in your class, if you have a sub not show up, nobody's going to do anything? Because that is the perfect excuse to say, oh, we didn't do anything. Sorry, we didn't know. We didn't know that nobody showed up. Sorry. I mean, and there's nothing you can say as a teacher. Be like, you should have read my mind or text me that you don't have my phone number. You should have let me know. You should have known what to do. These kids, about 10 minutes in when they didn't show up, they went up to the computer, they found the video, they hit play, they watched the entire lesson, and then by the time the sub came in the last 5 minutes of class, they were sitting there working their assignments. A couple of them were working together because one of them was a little bit better, and so she was kind of teaching the other kid how to do some of the aspects that were a little more customized, but the rest were all working. If you empower them, a lot more times than not, they will surprise you, okay? Kids I don't think enjoy being a disappointment. I don't think it's something they like doing, even though we as teachers think all they want to do is make us upset. But if you build that rapport and you work with them and you communicate them and you power them, you're going to see a lot more surprise you than not. And they will let you down. There's no doubt. Like, there are going to be times when they sit in there the whole period and play on their Instagram and they don't get any work done. But if you empower them and trust them a little bit, a lot more times than not, they're going to surprise you. Okay. We know it's changing, right? The landscape of education is changing a bit. Whenever I was the principal, these were our 3 things. We said in every parent-teacher meeting. We had to have parent meetings because of the way our school was set up. Every single student that enrolled, we had to have a parent meeting. It's a busy summer, okay? So we'd have a parent meeting with the students in there, parents, counselor, myself, and then maybe a teacher if they were around. This is what we told every single parent and student. In a traditional classroom, where's your source of knowledge? You come from the teacher, right? What the teacher speaks is the word that they write down, and that's what you need to know for the test. Whether the test is on that or the book or something they found on the internet, that's different, but that's where they got their information. I told every single one, I said, your first resource is your curriculum. Okay? For us, it was Odysseyware. I said, your first resource is Odysseyware. Say you don't get it. Say you go through all the resources, you do the activities, you watch the videos, it's just not it doesn't connect with you. Use the internet. It's a fairly large place, okay? You can go online and you can watch a YouTube video on how to put a bike rack on a Subaru, okay? Like, you can pick anything you want, and there's like 200 people showing you how to do it on the internet, whether it's in text or video. I said, use the internet. If it doesn't encompass what you need to learn, search the internet. Watch videos. Find it yourself. Your third resource is the certified teacher sitting in the room with you. They're in the room. They could have been their first resource. As soon as the kid hits a problem, they could walk over and ask the teacher. That's their third resource. And why? We don't do that because we want our teachers to have an easy day. We didn't do it to be lazy. We did it because that's the real world. Like, how often do you like, oh man, I don't know how to put this IKEA nightstand together. Good, there's a certified IKEA person. Hey, you're in the room with me. Will you show me how to do this? No, we don't have that person with us all the time. What do? We get our phone out, we search exactly what we want to do, and we watch a video. That's what we got to do in the real life. That's what we try to train our kids to do. Find their own resources. Teacher to student communication. Here are some practical tips for teachers to students and how they communicate. Your email and message is the new raise your hand. I did a training a week ago. We had a teacher that had over 16,000 unread emails. I said, what are you right now? I can't even deal with like looking into your eyes right now. And I said, how have you not like gotten like written up like 400 times for not doing what you're supposed to? Like, well, I check them from my principal and from like central office. And I was like, what about students? Like, you've got kids contacting you on there. Like, how are you not communicating with them? Kids, when they send an email, like, how many people know, like, when they look at a bunch of teenagers sitting at a table at a restaurant, they're all four sitting at the table, all texting at the same time. I like to think they're texting each other. They just don't, like, want to put out the words. They just, like, text the people across the table. So, whenever they send an email or a message, they expect a response. That's how they're communicating. That's the new raise your hand. So whenever you ignore a student email, you're like, I'll get to it later or whatever, and they're asking how to do something, that's just like a kid sitting in the front row raising their hand for 20 minutes in your class. That's what you're doing. They don't feel like they can move on. And how many people know a teenager or a student is going to go, oh, well, I'll just wait till they respond, and then they go play on the internet. That's what they'll do, okay? So you've got to stay on top. You've got to change the way you view those questions from students in messages and emails. Think of it in the same importance as a kid raising their hand in class. Teacher to student communication. Twitter is a great, okay. How many people know like communication with students when you do email and stuff, it has that level of caution, okay? You don't want anything to be private. You want to do it on a platform to where it's recorded. That way if a kid ever says something or anything ever happens, you have proof, look, I was being legit, okay? I was answering their school questions. If you don't, like if your messaging system does not have a back end to where your tech people can bail you out if a kid says something or something is spread, I recommend Twitter because Twitter is public. If you reply to somebody on Twitter, it's there. Anybody could see it. It's open. It's out there, but you still give information. When I was a principal, I also had a lot of math videos on YouTube, and I'd tell kids, I'd say, hey, if you want, these are kids like all around the world, in the USA and other countries. I say, if you had a problem that gives you trouble, screenshot it, tweet it at me, and I'll work a math problem on YouTube, and I'll send it back to you because I was trying to get likes and subscribes. What's up? And so what I did was, so here's one, some kid named Nicole. I don't know who it was. I wasn't following them. They sent me a thing saying, hey, how do you do this? Okay, I don't need myself in the background talking. You guys have heard my voice enough. You don't need it happening twice at the same time. So what I would do is I would just video it, and then I would export it out and go to YouTube. Take me about, I don't know, anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes per video. But then anybody else can use it. I type in whatever it is that I worked out. Anybody on YouTube can now still go see these videos. Think of it for your class. If it was focused on your class, how many people know, anybody teach high school in here? You have 5, 6, 7 period days. How many people know by 6th and 7th period, you know every single, I taught math. I can know every single problem that a kid at which step would mess up for every class. You just know, okay, number 7, they know they're not going to take the X over here. They're not going to plug it back in. That's where they're going to mess up. So you let them make the mistake, and then you go back and show them. And by the 6th and 7th period, you are a genius. You're like, oh, I know where you had a problem. Don't even raise your hand. This is what you're doing. And you look like you're a mind reader. How many people know if you were doing this and you were making short videos and you were tossing them in your curriculum, okay, hey guys, after you do this and after you miss that problem, do this. This is how you do it. And then every kid could see it at their own pace without having to raise their hand and admit to their friends they don't know what they're doing. So you've got that. You can have it there. And if you focus, I did it for just rando people in the world. If you did that for your classes, man, you could do a lot of learning and you could build quite a library that adapts to exactly what you're doing. Teachers don't always have to be the expert. We talked about this. If you have something and you hit a problem, that's just good stuff. What my friends think I do, what my mom thinks I does, what society thinks I do, what kids think I do, what I think I do, and then what I really do. Just cry in the corner with a bunch of papers to grade. And so you don't have to be the expert. If you hit a problem in class, don't act like you have to be the bearer of all knowledge. Say if a kid's like, oh, I hit this. You look on it, you're like, I haven't hit that problem yet. Does anybody else in the class hit this? Hopefully, like a kid in the class says yes. Okay, if not, all right, everybody, let's Google it. See if we can figure this out. Let's work together. Let's see what the next step is. And then, like I said, if you can't get that, you call Craig. Okay, Craig, go come fix it. He's just going to remote in. Another thing, you've got to be clear to these students. This is. You think, okay, these kids grew up in technology, they get it. They don't. Okay, they've used technology to post on Twitter. Well, was it Facebook first? Then when the parents got there, they went to Twitter. And then when the parents got there, they went to Instagram, and now they're on Snapchat. That's where the kids are, and they just keep running. I think they're going to circle back around to Facebook here in a year or two. That's my opinion. They don't know. You have to explain it to them. Here's one situation I had. I had a teacher, and she said, hey, this kid, they plagiarized their entire assignment. I found it on the internet. They just copy-pasted. They put it in there. And so they're going to have to get a 0 on everything. I was like, okay. So I called the student into my office. I was like, hey, I'll change her name to Erin with an E instead of Erin with an A instead of Erin with an E so that she's protected, okay? So y'all don't know who she is. So Erin came in. She sat down. Erin's a smart girl. Like, she was smart. Like, A's and B's, really smart. She came in. She said, hey, what's up, Mr. Tarver? And I was like, hey, here's the deal, Erin. You cheated on that assignment. You plagiarized the whole thing. She says, no, I didn't. I go, yeah, you did, Erin. Like, Ms. Burns told me you cheated. She goes, no, I didn't. I did not plagiarize. I go, well, and I've looked at the question. I put it into Google, and her answer popped up. First response. I go, Erin, you didn't even go to the next page. Like, you used the first answer that pops up. I was like, you plagiarized. She goes, I did not plagiarize. I typed all of that in myself. I was like, Erin, you don't understand what plagiarism means. And so we had to explain it. Like, she was a smart girl, and I still had to explain that to her. Like, you have to lay that out there for these kids. So they're going to hit these roadblocks, and when they do, address with everybody. So my English teacher made a video explaining plagiarism, taking ideas, how to cite people. We sent that video out in an email, sent it to all the students. So they now know what to expect. A couple people may have done it, but they knew they were cheating. They didn't think they weren't. You got to back up what you say. If you're going to draw a line in the sand, you have to stick to it. If something happens when the kid does this, you got to stick to that. Okay? How would you react if a kid said they lied to you in your class? You wouldn't like it, would you? So don't lie to them. Don't say, we're going to do this if you do this, and then not do it. That's lying to them. Then that's changing that line. To the parents, they got to know what's going on. Don't give in to excuses, okay? When a parent gets on Facebook and complains, first off, don't respond on Facebook, okay? Because then they can screenshot it and say whatever they want. Find their number and call them. I've done that. When parents complain about the school, I find their number, I call them and say, hey, what's up? Can we talk about it? What can we do to make it better? Anybody ever watch The Office? I'm going to talk through this because he calls Benihana's something weird, so I'm sure. They've got all the excuses, okay? When you go from the piece of paper to the device, it's not the dog ate my homework. It's, oh, it got deleted. Oh, I didn't do this. Oh, I didn't do this. Okay, well then what can you do to prevent that? How can you do it to back that up so it doesn't happen again, so we don't hear this excuse again? Can you write it in this program and then copy and paste it to this program? What can you do to best not let that happen again? You're doing what's best for kids, okay? If that's your why, communicate that to the parents. You're both on the same team. I say that to parents all the time. Teachers, administrators, parents, like whenever it gets down to it, we disagree on something. We may have different educational philosophies, but we agree on one thing. We want to do what's best for these kids, whether it's for this test that they got to get a scholarship or to prepare them for the workforce or what they're going to do after or give them responsibility. We're doing that. Communicate to the parents. Show that you're on the same team. That's huge, guys. Whenever you have parents call, say, look, we both want the same end result. We want your kid to be the best that they can be and be ready for college or career. To the community. It's good to know what's going on. I recommend bragging about your teachers and your students and your school. That's all we do with Bauxite. This is our Instagram page. All we do, look, these are all people. It's not me taking a picture of the new turf football field saying, look how cool we are. We just spent a lot of money on a turf field. No, it's all, which teachers love that, right, guys? What we do is we brag about our people. We talk about what we have going on. Look at that awesome. We were going to give that away as a door prize. It's like this 1960s TV, but we ran out, guys. Sorry. She wasn't as excited. We gave somebody else an iWatch. Yeah, she wasn't pumped. Okay, last step, implement it. Like, once you do this, pull the trigger. Do it, okay? And then know you're going to have to adjust. Like I said, we're on FlexMod 4.0. But we went into it with all our meetings with the teachers. We said, here's what other schools have done. Here's how we think we can adapt to us. We know we're going to have to change. We did not come up with the perfect plan and roll it out. It's like when you get married, you're like, oh, it's going to be perfect. Usually doesn't work out as perfect as it gets going, right? First year is your worst year. It's because you're adjusting. You're adapting. You're learning. You're building that relationship. You're communicating. You've got to keep doing that. This looks like a pyramid, but it's cyclic. You're going all the way through and rolling through every time. Something's going to mess up. Stuff will need to change. And don't settle for just good enough, okay? If you have something and you know, oh, this is pretty good. This is pretty good what we have right here. But you know you can make it better, but you think it'll be a little bit work or you're going to have to go back on something you said, do it. Don't settle for good enough when you can make it better. Communicate that with them. Communication rolls back in. Say, hey, guys, we can stick with what we got and it'll be easy. We can make it better if we do this. Who wants to make things better? I'd say most people want to, except for that one teacher we talked about before, okay? Everybody else is going to want it to happen. When things need to change, be transparent. Don't just do things behind the scenes. If you're a district level or a building principal, don't just do it and say, hey, here's the new commandment. Everybody obey it, okay? You've got to communicate that. Be transparent. Show, like, as an administrator, you're not the perfect specimen for saying everything that's right all the time and implementing things. Like, you've got to know that, and they know that. Communicate with them like, look, I'm learning too. I'm adapting too. If you guys have the same mentality, if we have the same mindset, we can keep making things better. I recommend parent nights. We do State of the District reports. It's where I make a document, and I send it out to all my teachers saying, hey, guys, here are the frequently asked questions, rumors going around, and here's us addressing them, telling you what's up. Unlisted YouTube videos. If you have a YouTube video, mark it as unlisted. That means people that have the link can view it. People in the public can't search it, okay? So we do parent announcement videos where it's like, hey, guys, this is coming up this month. This is what we got going on. Here's something great that happened, etc. And we send it out. Just those parents see it. It's unlisted. Facebook Live Q&As. Anybody done a Facebook Live Q&A for their school? They're awesome because that's where your parents are, right? Parents and alumni are on Facebook. It's where they run their mouth. It's where they hang out. So it's good to do it there. So whenever you go in there, you have the Facebook Live up. They can pop up comments and questions. You're addressing them right there. It saves video. It'll stay on there if they couldn't make it to the live Q&A. And then Twitter town halls. If you got a big Twitter community, go on Twitter, answer questions. You know, sitting in your office, just tweeting. Looks like you're not doing anything. You're doing customer service. When things go wrong, remind everyone you're willing to mess up because it's good for students. We're willing to adapt and change because it is good for kids. Always go back to your why. Why are we doing this? Because it's best for kids. Why are we willing to change? Why are we willing to grow? Why are we willing to learn or spend this money? Because it's going to be best for kids. It's going to give them more skills to be successful. That's why we're doing it. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. That goes for our students, our teachers, our administrators, all the way through. They got to be able to adjust and learn. Okay, it's not about knowing who the 23rd president of the United States was, because I can hold that button on my iPhone and I can find out that in 4 seconds. Okay, yes, knowledge is good. Being able to learn and problem solve and think is better. He cut him off right there. Why are you teaching? Are you teaching because you want to be the expert of the curriculum and you want to show how great you are at delivering it? Or are you teaching so that students learn? So if the times change and the way the kids learn change and the best way to do something changes, then we need to change as well. You don't want to be the guy riding in the horse and buggy while everybody else is driving a car. Okay? Things change. You don't see a lot of horse and buggies out on the interstate anymore because they found something that's better, that's new. That's what they need to get going on. Thank you guys so much. Y'all were wonderful. No, it's time for you. You guys were awesome. Thank you guys.